There's been the Grand Valley Trail Association for quite some time, but most of those are walking paths. And those trails, Grand Valley Trail Association is one of our many partners, and those trails will be our experiential trails. But the main line, or the main trail that follows the Grand River, is meant to be a multi-use trail, so there's access for all. This is just the last memorandum from council. So I wanted to share that with everyone because some of you maybe knew that were elected after this was done. So I wanted to make sure everybody was up to speed on where we were. This just shows you the main route. And of course, when you get on our new website that we'll be launching on March 4th, this is interactive, so you can only choose the areas that you want to look at and travel and plan your trips accordingly. As I mentioned, the Grand River is a water trail itself. And I'm going to go through these pretty quick so we can leave lots of time for discussion. Section 1 is called the Headwaters, and it runs from Dundalk to Bellwood Lake. Not a lot of trail development in this area, so we are on back roads for the most part, trying to stay away from heavy traffic areas. Where it does get busy, anytime it does, we kind of mark it with this orange color, so you know that might be a busier area and to provide a little more safety precaution as you travel. The second section is Center Wellington, and it goes from Bellwood Lake to the Kissing Bridge Trail. It's about 40 kilometers. Bellwood Lake can be paddled as well. The river is navigable for experienced travel.
Joy, you're on mute.
Would like you to unmute. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you. So then the next part of the trail is the Waterloo, Walter Breen region. And we've got a few loops here. We can also connect with the Trans-Canada Trail. We've got a Waterloo route loop and a Cambridge loop. And then we make our way down to the Paris, Cambridge to Brantford Trail going through Paris. And on the trail, you'll see all the access points to the river are marked. Canoe access points. There's the portages when they're red star, danger zone sort of thing. You've got to get out and portage. But in addition to this, we can also turn on restaurants, museums, all kinds of interactive features on the website. Again, the Brantford Loop, it's a big one, but it kind of can go through county as well as the city of Brantford. Takes in heritage sites like the Bell Homestead and all kinds of history in Brantford here. And then we've got section 5 is Onondaga to Lake Erie, and this includes Six Nations. And Chiefs Wood Park is a big feature there with glamping available. And lots of history as well to share, and culture and powwows and various different experiences throughout the year. So it's a 75-kilometer length trail. Most of it is on Highway 54. We've talked about moving the trail to different areas in Six Nations, but this is where, when we were working with Constance and Janice, this is where they said they would like to start the trail. And of course, 54 highway there at Chiefswood is quite an active place with lots of heritage to share. And then it goes on down past Caledonia, Cayuga, Dunnville. At Caledonia, or York, actually, we switch sides and go down the, not Highway 54, but the River Road access, a little quieter. And it actually splits at Dunnville to go down both sides of the Grand, so you can take a choice at where you end up at Port Maitland. So that's, and then we're at the Lake Erie, where the Grand River ends. So in total, it's about a 300-kilometer trail, and there's all kinds of opportunities for day loops or 3-day loops, that sort of thing. And in addition to that, I'm not sure if you're aware of the waterfront trail that has been developed along the waterfront from Montreal, following the St. Lawrence River all the way down the north side of Lake Ontario, Lake Erie, and then back up through Lake Huron. You can see it in red marked here. And what the Grand Trail allows us to do is create the really big Grand Loop with a north-south connecting route, as well as there's other trails, the G2G Trail, the Brock's Walk, various other trails that we connect to. So it pulls the whole network together. This is sort of an example of how you can see the different features in the area, and it gives you the details. As you click on one, it will tell you the address, the phone number, the website, so you can plan a trip with your family for a great long adventure. So we are in the process of launching our website on March 4th, but we're just going back to all the municipalities now to say, you know, we've kind of discussed the route previously. This is the final one with all the communities coming together and have achieved the one path, the main line from the beginning to the end. And of course, we're hoping to continue our relationship with working with the staff advisory committees going forward, because we'll need to, you know, make sure that the trails are always open, or if there's any maintenance going on, that sort of thing, we'll be updating our website to let people know. So I'm going to just click on this section here. Hopefully it works. I might have to switch my share here. So I'm going to stop for a minute and share this new part of the screen. So this is the interactive part of the map, and this is the Onondaga to Port Maitland. Yep.
It's your screen hasn't appeared yet.
Oh.
There we go.
Okay, you got it now?
Yes.
So this is the interactive part. So this is by Six Nations. This is the section 5, and we can make it bigger so we can take a look at it. We can show various different, highlight the areas here. So if you click on that, you automatically see Chiefswood National Historic Site, where it is, the phone number, and the website, so people can check in with you and book and that sort of thing. And there's also a canoe access point there as well. So that's pretty much it. And at this point, I'd open it up for questions and see if you want to look at anything in more detail. I can show it on my screen, or however you would like to proceed at this point, Michelle.
Okay, thanks, Joy, for your presentation. And yeah, I open it up to anybody on the line who has questions.
Michelle, it's Hazel.
Go ahead, Hazel.
Yeah, I had thoughts about this type of trail years ago, and I had even put it forth to the Six Nations Tourism way back when, the idea of having a trail, I guess, along the towpath that would invite tourism, and it would be part of a tourism event if people came to Six Nations, from going from Six Nations up to Brantford and around all of the historical sites. And I also thought about the idea of allowing all of our handicraft people, who that's partly their income, is making their handicrafts and selling them, to have situated stations along that trail. It would be a unique difference from, you know, just going to an event where you're sitting out, you know, maybe it could be even in a parking lot or whatever. But if it was along a trail along the river, I don't know, I always seen that as a tourist attraction type of an event. So just wondering if you'd allow that to be included in your, in the trail.
Definitely. Yes, for sure. This is, I mean, we have, we wanted to get this started. We want to get the line on a map. We want to start promoting it. So this is just the beginning. We know that over the next 20 20 to 30 years, this trail is only going to get better and better. And we'd like to move sections that are, you can see the Highway 54 is a very busy road. And we did speak, when we were speaking with Spring, she had mentioned that Six Nations was looking at putting a sort of like a walking path from Chiefswood Park to the Longhouse, because more and more people were walking along there, and it is a busy road. So she had mentioned that Six Nations was already looking at adding a walking path along there. I'm not sure how far your planning department has gotten with that, but that's just like one small section. But Six Nations can develop their trail system any way they wish. We could create a loop around Six Nations if we cross the bridge at Chiefswood and come down almost Six Line, or if there is a towpath road along there that we could create a trail with and get people off Highway 54, that would be awesome. It would take, I know it's going to take years to do, and that's why this is sort of long range planning. But as you develop your tourism industry and we create a loop around Six Nations, people could stay here for 2 days to 2 weeks, just enjoying the culture and canoeing and learning the history, and of course buying all those artifacts, the artworks that are developed by the community and that sort of thing. For sure, tourism, this is what it's built for. So any sort of expansion that Six Nations Council would like to do, we're on board with you.
Sounds good.
Thank you. And we have a comment in the chat from Councillor Wright, and he asked, do you have a partnership with Guyana Say? And it would be nice to have Indigenous vegetation along the trail. And so that could bring
yes, wonderful
awareness and awareness.
We have met with Guyana Say, and they had talked to us. They have a little bit of a trail developed up around this area, right? So we can actually take a small part of this and have a little detour in around this area here. But yes, I think the natural flora and fauna of the area would be a wonderful thing to look at. So we can certainly expand upon that as well.
Perfect. Do I have any other questions?
Michelle,
was it you?
Yeah. The thought that I had along with what I've already said was, in order to recruit tourism into our area, I think if they had like some kind of a trolley, that once you board the trolley, probably around Chiefswood Park, and it would be, hopefully it would be horse driven, and they could go right into Brantford to see all of the historical sites and then come back on that same trolley back to where they're staying or else where they're parked. I don't know, I like this idea because I've thought of this many, many times through the years, that it would be a really nice tourism development.
We haven't thought of a trolley. I mean, this is the first time I've kind of heard that idea, so that's certainly something we can add to discussions. For the most part, it's more of active tourism where people can canoe down the Grand River and then make arrangements to have bikes. Maybe so they might canoe from Brantford to Chiefswood, and then have bicycles waiting for them to bike back to Brantford, or vice versa, right? So you can have a water adventure and a biking or hiking adventure on the same day. So we've envisioned it more as an active transportation route as opposed to trolleys or bikes. But I know up in the northern region of the watershed, they had asked for horseback riding on their trails as well. So it's what the community would like to do with it. That it's sort of up to you guys how you would like to promote it and travel it. You can set it up any way you like.
I could just want to further comment to that idea, because, if you have buses of tourists coming into the community, like a lot of them will probably be elderly and, they can't bike or go via the waterway. So if they had a nice leisurely way to go further up into Brantford, like in a horse-drawn trolley or whatever, that would be a pleasant experience for the older people who cannot do all those other things, or walk or run or bike or canoe. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great idea. That's fantastic. So, that's certainly something that can be added as an added feature to the Grand Trail, because it hopefully will be a multi-use trail for maybe something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks, Joy. And we have another comment. Councillor Miller indicates and reiterates that GREAT may be working on the trail from the Longhouse to the park. So there are discussions that should be had. I know this is getting into the weeds, but yeah, I really appreciate you, Joy, and your team for coming to present this morning. I don't see any other comments or hands raised. So at this time, can I have someone accept Joy's presentation?
I will let you know, I know you had mentioned, sorry to interrupt you. You mentioned development of walking paths. Just to let you know, Haldimand County is also looking at doing a 1.5 meter paved shoulder from Caledonia to Mines Road. They said that they've committed to that far as at this time, but they would look at, they're going to do a feasibility study to add a paved shoulder just to give the bikers and walkers a little bit more room off of Highway 54. So the County of Brant will also consider that as well. So just to let you know, the other communities on either end of Six Nations are looking at paved shoulders, about a 1.5 meter paved shoulder to accommodate bikers and hikers, just to get them a little bit off of 54 highway.
Okay, thank you for that insight. I didn't know that. So at this time, Council, can I have someone accept the presentation for information? Moved by Helen, second by Audrey. All in favor?
Favor. Okay.
Does anybody oppose? Hearing none, motion is carried. So thanks, Joy and Paul and Anne, correct? Was Anne? Yeah. Okay, we will be in touch. Take care.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so let's move right along to number 5, adoption of the political liaison committee minutes. I just seen a correction. I do believe page 2 is duplicated, but I assume that's just because of the scan, Shirley.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, sorry, Teresa. Okay. So do I have a mover for the minutes, and is there any questions? Moved by Helen.
Charlotte's Hazel.
Yep.
Under number 8. Oh, I think that's I made a mistake. That's the current agenda. Sorry. Okay.
So it's moved by Helen. Do I have a seconder?
I already seconded
the minutes.
Oh, go ahead, Hazel.
I'll second.
Perfect. Moved by Helen, second by Hazel. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion is carried. Okay, so we are moving on to the Lifelong Learning Task Force. As you can see, we have a briefing note in our package, and I'm looking for anybody on the task force. Audrey, you going to speak to this?
The briefing note?
Yes.
The one briefing note that I have here is that the core team have asked, basically made a decision to ask Heather Watts to stay on as our education manager. She comes with a myriad of experience, has a master's degree from Harvard, and is working right now on OISE on her PhD. And she is an excellent candidate for this position. So we're looking for the council to approve Heather Watts being appointed and having her contract extended.
Okay, thanks, Audrey.
And I make that a motion as well, please.
So moved by Audrey. Do I have a seconder? Then I'll open it up for questions.
I'll second this, Hazel.
Okay, any questions? Hearing none. We'll go to the vote. All in favor?
Favor?
Favor.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion is carried. Okay, so that is, and everybody's read the update in the Dropbox. And then you want to talk to C, Audrey?
What about our youth?
That's the terms of reference.
In terms of reference, a couple of things have been changed, and it's a highlight in yellow. And we have been able to successfully have 2 candidates to join the Lifelong Learning Task Force team, and Stevie Jonathan is one. And so that's basically what we're looking for the terms of reference to be approved. We did a call out for youth, and we had two successful people who are really eager to help with education on Six Nations.
And
I'll make that a motion. Yep.
Can we, who are the 2 youth?
Stevie Jonathan, and just looking for the other one right now. O'Reilly Hill.
Okay, thanks.
That's the changes. You're welcome.
Okay, so you have the terms of reference, adding the 2 youth. Do I have, Audrey moves, do I have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Okay, any questions? Hearing none, let's go to the vote. All in favor?
Favor.
Anybody opposed?
Do you need to waive second reading for those?
Yes, please.
I'll move that we waive second reading for both, please.
I'll second that.
Okay, for A to C. All in favor?
Favor.
Does anybody oppose? Hearing none, motion is carried. Thank you. Let's move right along to 7. The consultation and accommodation process, the CAP team discussion. So we have a recommendation. Accepts the, we have a report from the CAP team. So you'll find that in your Dropbox. Lonnie, do you want to briefly speak to this, or Taylor?
Or Robin, I think would probably speak to it.
I don't see Robin. Okay.
Yes, so at the last political liaison meeting, it was requested that we provide more information on the proponents that we're meeting with. So this report just basically lists everybody that we met with this past month and what we talked about. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. There is one thing that I would like to make sure that council is aware of. There is a development that's happening in the city of Brantford by Live Developments in Kingwood. It's on the corner of River Road and Burkett Lane. And I just want you to be aware that the proponents are very anxious to get this work done. However, it is within close proximity to the Mohawk Institute. And so there is some concern as to the archaeology work that needs to be done, but also that the Survivor Secretariat may want to have some work done in that area as well. So the developers are being aggressive in trying to get to a place where they can start work. And I just wanted council to be aware of that.
Okay, thanks, Robin. And so there are a number of proponents that you're engaged with. Does this get shared with the papers? It does, right, Teresa?
Hello?
Hi. Okay, so we will share. This is all open for the community to see. So, okay, Helen, you have a comment?
Well, I guess it sounds like we have to take some kind of action on the just what Robin mentioned, with the development wanting to take, getting aggressive and wanting to take place. And I think we really need to, I guess, determine if that area is going to be, if that is one of the areas that might be getting searched for graves. Like, we can't have our development go ahead of that's going to be part of the search, because I'm not sure where it is.
Okay, can I just give you a little bit of background on this one then? So this area, as you're coming across Cockshut Bridge, Burkett Lane goes left and right, and it's just to the left. There was a housing development just on the corner of right on Erie Ave and Burkett Lane, but now they're wanting to build in behind that.
Oh, all right.
So that's where it is. And the city of Brantford is very, they feel like they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because they can't stop the development. There's, there is this thing called Ontario Lands Tribunal. And so if the approvals are delayed long enough, the proponent, if they wish, can take it to the Ontario Lands Tribunal. More often than not, the Ontario Lands Tribunal does side with the developer, so that there is a good likelihood that that if it went that route, the development would be approved and it would go ahead. However, the developers are very smart people and they know that this is a very sensitive area. So they are trying to work with the Survivor Secretariat to see what can be done. So, but it's an area that I think is very sensitive, and I just wanted council to be aware that this is in the works. And so I wanted to highlight it to you. I'm not sure that we need to do anything yet, but I just wanted you to be aware of it.
Lonnie, is that the land? Lonnie, is that the land that the Men's Fire traded with Steve Sheriff for that land on Oneida Road?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is. That was part of the arrangements they made with them back in 2013 or so. Steve Sheriff, King and Benton, and yeah, so they did get land in return for not objecting to what he built there along Erie Avenue. And that's that land along on 6 line there, going into California.
Oneida Road.
Yeah.
So is that going to come into play? The things I wonder if they say, well, we traded you guys.
They did bring that up, that they have in their view, they have already accommodated Six Nations. We clarified for them that they did not accommodate Six Nations, that they accommodated a select.
They accommodated the Men's Fire. They didn't accommodate Six Nations.
Right, and they are aware of that.
It's Melba.
Go ahead, Melba.
Yeah, can I ask how that works with trustees involved? I understand there's trustees involved.
Yeah, if I could respond, yeah, so I understand too that there's trustees. I don't know what the problem is with this. There seems to be some division among them, but I don't know really. All I'd heard is that they weren't paying the land taxes on that land, and so that's going to become an issue. So, but it seems kind of muddled now. We don't know what's happening there, and there are trustees, but they don't seem to be very active in any way.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any more questions? So I see you have a report. It is there's about 20 plus proponents that you're working with over this last 2 months. And so, yeah, that'll get shared to community. So we have a recommendation to accept the report, but I also hear that there is actually more that we should be doing. So Helen?
Yeah, I still think we need to, I guess, identify some kind of action. What kind of action needs to take place, Lonnie? Like what can we do now? Like she said, if it goes to that land tribunal, then they'll probably support it. But what can we do, and what kind of action are we going to take in the meantime?
Yeah, well, we are talking with this group. It's made up of 3 or 4 different developers. Nothing has been finalized yet, so we don't know exactly what action is going to be taking place. We're going to continue talking and see whether we can come to any resolution. Whatever the outcome, we'll be reporting that back to you. Probably not in maybe next month or in the next month after that, but fairly soon, because it is kind of time sensitive in the sense that they want to be able to proceed with their development. But there's a lot of issues involved, and they have to be talked about first before anything can go forward.
Okay, so what I'm hearing, Lonnie, is next month we're going to have a briefing note outlining the next steps, and then, or even sooner.
Yeah, we could very well have something for you. Yeah.
Okay. Helen, are you good with that? That more information, more thorough information will be forthcoming, so we can have a lengthy discussion? Okay, I'll take Helen. You're good. Okay.
Michelle, I have a question, Sadri.
Yep, go ahead.
So are the secretariat going to be involved with this too, and will be hearing from them?
Yeah, we had hoped so. I mean, we had scheduled a meeting with the developers in Kimberley, the Survivor Secretariat. That was supposed to occur, I think, 2 weeks ago. At the last minute, Kimberley was not available, so we're trying to set some sort of meeting up to see whether if there's any concerns that need to be addressed. It's in the works. We had, Kim Murray canceled at the last minute because of other commitments, so we weren't able to hold that meeting between our group, her and the developers.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is some discussions that need to happen ASAP, and so I'm sure Kim will be willing to meet as early as possible. Melba?
Yeah, while Lonnie's on the line, I always question, what's the status of Kanata? I know some time ago the Mohawks took it over, but I never hear of it. We don't deal with it because it's my understanding that City of Brantford believes that they own that building and land.
Yeah, well, they are the registered owners of it under the land titles, but they've just sort of backed off and let the Mohawks that are in Brantford have control of it. So I don't think anything's changed yet. It's still being used by Dallas Squire and his group, as far as I know, but we haven't heard anything from Brantford on that. So whenever we talk to officials from Brantford, they don't mention anything about that. So it doesn't seem to, it just seems to have just kind of been laid to rest.
Is that a good thing? Just have it laid to rest, or should we?
Well, yeah, for the time being, yeah, it is a good thing. I mean, we have the Eagle's Nest, I think, as mentioned in our statement of claim in the litigation. So ultimately, I suppose it could be determined by the court decision. But the Eagle's Nest tract, as you know, it goes along with others that was never lawfully surrendered and was only intended to ever be leased. But you know, that sad history, how it just got into the jurisdiction of the government of Canada at the time, and then Ontario eventually, and that's part of the questions in the court case. But it's still, we say it was only ever intended to be land, and that's Eagle's Nest, which is a huge tract, was only ever intended to be leased.
So that'll be part of the court case, you're saying?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other questions for Lonnie and his team? So there is a lot of work that will come back. So at this time, we have a recommendation to accept the report as information. Do I have a mover in that respect?
I'll move. It's Melba.
Do I have a seconder?
I'll second.
Okay. Thanks, Audrey. All in favor?
Favor.
Does anybody oppose? Okay. And to waive, well, we don't waive, do we have to waive second reading on that in update? Okay, we have waive second reading.
I'll waive, Melba.
Thanks, Melba.
Second.
Thanks, Audrey. And all in favor? Okay, motion is carried. Alrighty, Lonnie, we'll move right along to number 8, consultation with consultation monies from Enbridge.
Yeah. Yes. So we had to have a somewhat contentious issue with Enbridge in the past. Previous councils were opposed to anything that Enbridge was doing in regards to their lines that are in the Haldimand Tract in southern Ontario, and we actually did contest. I think it was the line 10 at one time before the National Energy Board, and went through a hearing and so forth. But as you might be aware that actually line 9 went through the southern Ontario. I think comes from Sarnia or Windsor, around that area. And the Chippewa of the Thames challenged that it is an oil pipeline, challenged that they can't go through their territory, and that resulted in a court case that went through all the appeal levels and ended up in the Supreme Court of Canada about 4 or 5 years ago, and the court ruled in favor of Enbridge. Since then, Enbridge is still wanting to set up a consultation process with the various First Nations along the line. I understand that they have, in fact, reached an agreement with Chippewa of the Thames. So Chippewa of the Thames has an accommodation agreement. We don't know the particulars of that, but so they're now reaching out to Six Nations as well to see whether there's something that can be concluded with Six Nations. We did meet with their representative, I think it was October, Kevin Berube, who's an Indigenous person from Treaty 3, who's mandated now with consulting with First Nations, and wanting to start discussions on there's anything that any kind of arrangements we can work out that's to our benefit, and obviously to their benefit as well. So it comes before this council now saying that we're asking for permission to go forward with that and see what kind of arrangements we can arrive with them. And of course, that will be brought back to council if we come up with anything that we think is in the best interests of the community. So I don't know, Robin, is there anything more you wanted, or Phil, that you wanted to add on that?
No, I think you covered it really well.
Yeah. If I could, the previous council stood along with the Chippewas at the times while they were going through their court case and opposed anything that Enbridge was doing. So as Lonnie pointed out, that's been decided at the Supreme Court, and the Chippewas have reached well, it's just a consultation discussion papers to see if there's any benefits that can go to the community. I think that's about all it is. Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. Okay, Helen.
Well, sounds to me like this couldn't have come at a better time. I have a good, if we're going to do an accommodation, I have a really good accommodation to do with Enbridge. Enbridge provides our natural gas now, you know. Used to be Union Gas, and now it's Enbridge. So the accommodation, I would like to see if we're going to do anything is having them remove that transportation to the reserve on their gas bills. Save our people a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's what we need to fight for if we're going to be doing anything. And that benefits a lot of people in our community. Because they're the ones who do the transportation too. And it's quite expensive on our gas bill. That could be what we say we want them to do if we're going to do anything.
Thanks, Helen. Phil?
So put that in your hat.
If I could, Helen, that's an excellent idea. As well as we should be going, although the carbon tax that's being put on it is actually at the source. That's something we should be able to work on using Enbridge as a bit of a leverage. Thank you.
Yeah.
And just to add to that, Councillor Wright is in agreement with Helen. And yeah, how do we leverage this opportunity and to go beyond just the delivery charges, right? And so really, we look forward to hearing that strategy moving forward. Okay, so right now we have a recommendation that the Six Nations of the Grand River Elected Council authorize a consultation accommodation process team to negotiate a consultation agreement, which will be subject to the final approval of council. I think we're missing like some wording in there. Do I have, we need to include the community consultation process in the motion. Okay, so Teresa, can you ensure that the community consultation process is added? Thanks, Nathan. Is there anything else that needs to be added to the motion?
I just have a comment. I'm not adding to the motion, but I just wanted to get it clear that I guess Lonnie or the CAP team needs to sit down and meet with the natural gas to see what they can do. The strategy, what we're going to be presenting to get those things removed from our bill. So they would probably need to meet with the gas board.
Sure.
What kind of strategy you can come up with.
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
We'll certainly make that a point.
Thanks for that, Helen. Okay, so we've added community consultation in the recommendation. Do I have anything else to add? Hearing none. Do I have a mover for this recommendation?
I'll move, Michelle.
Then second by Hazel. All in favor? Does anybody oppose? Hearing none, the motion is carried. Recommendation number 2, to waive second reading. Moved by Helen.
Second.
Second by Hazel. All in favor? Motion. Do I hear anybody oppose? Motion is carried. Okay, Lonnie, I believe that's all for your team today. Let me.
Actually, no, we have, there's number 10, I think, the value statement.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to find my agenda. Okay. So, sorry about that. Okay, so we've dealt with number 8. We're going, 9 has been deferred for another meeting. Number 10, value statement.
Yes. If I could just
explain this, because I didn't follow it.
Okay. So as you know, the CAP team meets with many proponents, many government agencies, particularly municipalities, but sometimes Ontario people as well. And we're always concerned about developments, of course. For the most part, we're opposed to any kind of developments for a number of reasons. And so they said, well, what you CAP team, what are your values that you know, that you want us to consider? You know, and so we had said, okay, well, we say different various things that depending on the circumstances. And so we had said, well, it might be a good idea if we put together what our values are, and in terms of development, not only within Halton Tract, but within the Nan-Fan Treaty area. So we had to put together a value statement. It's, I think we can all agree that our values are contained in the Thanksgiving address that, you know, we've all heard a number of times. All those items that are contained in the Thanksgiving address, you know, the way I say it is Ganahonyuk and Cuga. So that's what we have devised and put together, and Robin was the author of it, and we made suggestions how she could improve it. So if Robin, if you just want to maybe just chime in a bit on what I've said.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we are encountering is that there's no Indigenous perspective in any of the planning legislation, in any of the legislation period. And so one of the one of the points that I often make when we're meeting with municipalities, or mostly municipalities, is that we have values that need to be considered. And part of the growth plan for the Greater Holden Horseshoe includes the sentence that municipalities must meet with Indigenous nations when the planning process could interfere with their Section 35 treaty and Aboriginal rights. And so, you know, they're asking us how these are being impacted. And so we tell them all the time that with every single development that's being built, every single bridge that's being built, every road, our rights are being impacted because all of those developments are taking away land, which is our treaty rights. Like, how can we hunt or gather medicines or fish if all of those sources are being impacted? So we've been asked more than once to put those values into words so that we can share them with municipalities so that they can see how our view of our rights is being impacted. So that's why we put together this value statement.
Okay. Any thoughts, Council? Helen?
Oh, no, I think it's a good idea that they're looking at doing this value statement. Because Robin's right. Anything that a development does is taking away one of our rights of some sort. So I think it's a really good idea to do some kind of a statement like that. We've never done it before. So I think it's a good idea.
It's Melba.
Go ahead, Melba.
yeah, I think it's a great piece of work and possibly should have been done a long time ago. It's a great teaching of Haudenosaunee worldview, and I think it should certainly travel far and certainly educate and create awareness in who we are as people and what's very important in our values and how we look at the world and everything that's connected to us living in this world. So I would move on the recommendation.
Okay, thanks, Melba. And do I have a seconder?
I'll second on that, Michelle.
Okay, thanks, Hazel. Any further questions? And you can have a copy of the value statement. Yes, Victoria. Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Favor.
Does anybody oppose? Hearing no opposition, motion is carried. Okay, now 11. The name change from
do you need a waiver?
Oh, sorry.
Michelle?
Yeah. Waive second reading.
I'll waive second reading.
Moved by Melba.
Second.
Second by Hazel. All in favor? Anybody oppose? Hearing none, motion is carried. Okay, moving to number 11. Lonnie, over to you.
Yes, I think at the last political liaison meeting that it brought to our attention that there was a change in the wildlife department name change, and we had sanctioned that because the new wildlife supervisor, Bethany Kuntz Wakefield, requested a change, and when we brought it to attention of senior staff, it was felt that because there was no change in official job title duties, that it didn't need to go for council's approval. But the council's last month's meeting says no. We'd like to know more about this name change. We'd like to know why the change change in name is needed. And so I did have Bethany prepare a briefing note for council as to the reasons why she's requesting that change. Of course, we're all in support of that from the, at least I am, anyways, from the CAP team and well, from the department actually. So because there isn't really any change in the duties, her and her assistant are still carrying on the duties of their job description. It's only she just wanted to have the name change to reflect more that she's doing as the wildlife manager. So Bethany, are you there?
I am here, yes.
So did you want to go on further? Yeah.
No, so at this time, we have the briefing note in front of us. So I will open it up for discussion. Councillor Johnson.
Good morning. My only question is, Darren, is this fine with you? Because I think this is admin. I don't think this should be at the table. There's no change in anything. There's no change in agreements. There's no change. So this is a Darren matter and should be with administration. That's my thought.
Thanks, Michelle, if I can respond. Thanks, Wendy. I totally 100% agree. There was some request to have it come back to council for clarification. So I think it's more for information. And I do think perhaps, Lonnie, what we should probably do, just as a side note, is come up with a proper definition of what stewardship is, because that's the ad here is wildlife and stewardship manager. I know it's come up in a few other meetings as well. So I think we just need to come up with a good definition for that. But other than that, I agree 100%.
Okay. Any other comments? Hearing none, we'll remove that from today's agenda. So Lonnie, I do believe that that is all.
Yeah, that's all for us. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
So let's move right along to 12. Is there any political updates that, I mean, I don't have any, and the chief has actually gone to the leadership circle meeting, and so he will return as soon as he's done there. So maybe we'll defer this. Our next item will be the added community planning. So I will, oops, Darren.
No, you got it. I just want to make sure we didn't miss that. Thank you, Michelle.
Okay. Yep. And so at this time, we were emailed, I believe, the potential to update the community plan. So Mike, I will give you the floor.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody, council community. So this was added on late as there was an opportunity to get a maximum of, well, $67,500 for a maximum spend of, or budget to update the community plan of $75,000. And the reason why it came on late is because we were advised on Friday afternoon that this is the last week that Indigenous Services Canada has to do any adjustments to the 2021-22 funding agreements. So part of their capital approval process is that they get a council resolution submitted to them for any of these funding requests. So that's why it's here today. And we're Darren's struck an infrastructure task force, and this is part of the work that we're doing. And yeah, so just really looking to get money to update our community plan. The last one was updated or put out there in 2019. So going to be looking to do that in 2022-23 if this resolution goes through. Thanks.
Thanks, Mike. And so I hope council had the opportunity to review the information. Do I have any questions? Do I have a mover on submitting the application to Indigenous Services Canada?
I'll move. I'll move.
Okay. Thanks, Helen. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second.
Audrey, correct?
Correct.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, any questions before we go to the vote? Hearing none, all those in favor? Does anybody oppose? Hearing none, motion is carried. And you would want to waive second reading as well, Mike?
Yes, please, and thank you.
Moved by Helen.
Second.
Thanks, Audrey. All in favor? Anybody oppose? Hearing none, motion is carried. Okay, so I believe that is all for today's agenda, political liaison agenda. So thank you everybody who participated, and we will now close the meeting and take care to community that joined us this morning.